purpose of this is to memorialize.
Pre-dead.
This is a pre-dead interview.
You're right.
This is.
I remember him.
I'm never gonna forget you,
Yes.
but
I
this.
can always look at you.
Right, and I can hear you. We didn't have this kind of technology when
Back from the dead.
your parents were 80. You had VHS. It looked like shit, and you put it on a shelf, and it turns to shit.
And what about their parents?
Your parents just
Parents gone
right.
into the mist.
Just in your head. That's it. The only memory you have is in your head.
100 years after you're dead, nobody will even know you were alive.
Depends what you do,
Unless you do something stupid.
or something great like
Yeah.
Jonas
The
Salk.
average person, 100 years after they're dead, nobody will know they were even alive.
Average person. That's true.
Huh?
You consider yourself an average person?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you're very.
There's 10 billion people
very
on the
much
planet.
above
Huh?
average. Very much above average. You're extraordinary. So we were talking.
Is this being recorded?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so
Yeah, we're rolling. So we were talking yesterday, and you were starting to tell me incredible stories, and I stopped you. Remember?
no.
Because yes, you are getting old. You're fucking old.
A story about
I can't
what?
remember yesterday. You were telling me stories about the army. Do you remember?
No.
Really? That's kind of scary. You were telling me about basic training in San Antonio. How you got an apartment with a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
You don't remember that?
That I remember.
You remember? Okay, good.
Okay.
So,
Marvin Nathanson, Teddy Pollock, and Robert Russo.
3 guys. And you were the 4th, and you shared an apartment.
Yes.
Did you know them from
Down at school.
you knew them from dental school?
Yeah.
You all joined the army together?
Yeah.
Wow. Did somebody do a dare or something?
Huh?
Did somebody do a dare or something?
No.
Just all thought it was a good idea. It turned out to be a good idea. It was a time
Yeah,
in
it
your
was
life.
like 200 people in my class, and 100 of them joined the army.
Really?
You would have got drafted otherwise. If you joined the army, you had choices.
Right. You graduated dental school in what?
1965.
65. I thought it was
Yes.
64. 65. So Vietnam had started, but,
Yes.
but it wasn't like
Was it a catastrophe yet?
wasn't a
We still
catastrophe.
thought we were going to win.
Right. Right.
And you know what? At the very end, we knew that if we wanted to, we could still win. It's just there was no national will to do it.
Well, when you joined the army in 1965, I'm sure you had absolutely no intention of going to Vietnam.
Well, I never did.
Right. Your plan worked out pretty well for you. So, what was your plan?
My plan was to go in. You had to give 2 years. You had it, so it was to make the most of it, to have the best options. So, I mean, a lot of guys were afraid, so they volunteered to go in. They ended up in Kansas or Oklahoma or some crappy place. I wanted to go to Europe. I joined the army so I can go to Europe. And they gave you 3 choices. It was Italy, France, and Germany. So everybody picked Italy and France. Nobody picked Germany. So Germany was my 3rd choice, and I got sent to Germany, but it worked out great. I was lucky.
That was before France left NATO.
Huh?
That was before France left NATO.
Yes. I was in the army when France left NATO, and they had a whole bunch of stuff there. So guys from Germany got in their cars and they drove to France to the army bases, and they took whatever they could stuff in their cars. So we knew we were just going to throw it away or give it to the French. In fact, what they did was the army bases that were left from France, the American troops went in and they trashed them. They broke everything they could, despite the French.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that when I was a kid. Like, what an awful thing it was for France to leave NATO.
I didn't do that though.
Yeah, I would imagine that you told me some stories. Okay, so you got to Germany, right? And they put you on this on the Kaserne, which was what is a Kaserne?
It's an army base.
That's a German word, right?
Yeah. Kaserne.
Kaserne. And you were on what was the name of the Kaserne?
Huh?
was in Schwäbisch Gmünd.
Hartgesser.
Hartgesser?
Yeah.
And they kept nuclear artillery there, right?
Yeah. I don't think they kept the nukes on my block, but they had nukes around, and they had atomic cannon, and they had the Pershings, which are nuclear missiles.
Pershings are strategic nukes, right?
Huh? Yeah. Well, they use them as tactical missiles. They never used them.
Well, yeah,
They
fortunately.
were designed to be used as tactical battlefield nukes.
Did you know this before you got there, or
Yeah.
was there any
We were in
emotion?
denial. We never thought there'd be a war
So,
with the Russians. They didn't want to die either. They had enough casualties.
right.
And
So,
if you think about it, Russians almost never got in combat. They still have, well, they are now. You see why. They're not very good at it.
well, they do these proxy wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, they are kind of shitty. They didn't manage to get anywhere in Afghanistan. Yeah, I guess they're only good at, you know, full-scale thermonuclear destroy the world war.
Where they outnumber people. They're very good at artillery. They have like millions of artillery pieces and tanks. The reason they don't do well at it is because the soldiers don't want to die. They don't want to fight. Not that you could blame them. They don't know what they're fighting for, and they say, "Go fight." The only reason you fight is to not get killed.
So, and then speaking of war, you got to Germany, and there's this war brewing in Southeast Asia.
What?
There's this war brewing in Southeast Asia
Yeah.
while you're in Germany, fixing, you know, doing fillings and bridge work, and this war is starting to heat up. Was there any concern?
Was I concerned?
Yeah.
No, I had the policy at the time where you had 2 years in Germany, and the third year if you wanted it, and then they would send you wherever they wanted to send you. But they wanted to keep, I mean, the U.S. Army wanted to keep its troops happy also, so they had a lot of policies that just didn't ruin your life, especially if you had a family.
Now, you didn't spend a lot of time on the army post, did you?
Yeah, I did every day.
I thought you were running around with mom most of the time.
What?
I thought you were running around with mom
I
most
was.
of the time.
Every chance I got. So I worked 4 days a week. Friday I had off. So I always, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I could go wherever I wanted.
Okay, so Monday through Thursday you were fixing teeth on the
Yeah.
post.
Right.
For the
It's like a job.
folks watching, what you would call an army base. Base is not the right word. It's a post.
Right.
Army doesn't have bases. They have
Right.
posts.
Correct.
Marines have bases.
And Navy and Air Force.
Right.
Yeah, I had a dental office, and you walked out the door, and there was a tank.
Right.
Lots of tanks
So
and missiles.
during Monday through Thursday, you basically just treating
teeth,
these kids, right?
Yeah.
You're treating officers and enlisted men,
Mm-hmm.
probably some women there too.
Families. The
Families, right? Most of the people lived on the post, right?
Yeah, there was two parts of the post. There was where I was, and then there was a hill. You went about 4 or 5 miles up a hill. There was another post where where the residences were, and most of the enlisted people lived on. They weren't barracks, housing. They lived in apartments.
But you decided to live in Schwäbisch Gmünd, which is a suburb of Stuttgart, right?
Yeah, my post was in Schwäbisch Gmünd. The post was maybe 2 miles from my house that I rented.
Which was Bad Cannstatt, which was Schwäbisch Gmünd.
Huh?
You lived in Schwäbisch Gmünd, right?
Yeah.
And the post I thought was in Bad Cannstatt.
Bad Cannstatt.
Bad Cannstatt. Did I mispronounce it?
Bad, B-A-D, which means bath,
Bath.
and Cannstatt, which is the name of the bath.
Right.
It was a bath because there was a spring that people would go to and take, and like bathe in it.
Right. A lot of names in Germany and England are named after baths.
Yeah, of course they had natural
They're
springs.
Natural springs. So, but the post was in Bad Cannstatt, if I recall you telling me.
Yeah.
Right? And you lived in Schwäbisch Gmünd.
Schwäbisch Gmünd was the whole big city, or not city, big town.
Right.
I say Bad Conch, what do you go, Schwäbisch Gmmel is probably the size of Huntington.
Oh, I've been there. You took me there.
Yeah.
In 1999. We'll get
Yeah.
there.
A long time.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
24 years. What a great trip that was. But more on that later. See, we're still in the 60s. So this is this, you met the Heinschels. They lived, what, next door?
Yeah.
How did you meet them?
I lived next door. I
Well-
moved in and there they were.
Yeah, but some people live next door to people for decades and never know their neighbors.
No.
I don't know if you've ever been in California.
Well,
Nobody knows their neighbors.
Germany's not California.
That's true. So you became friends.
And the people who lived there before me, he was an army sergeant. And I got friendly with him too. He's a nice guy.
And they weren't your landlords, right? They didn't own the
No.
house. They were just your neighbors.
No.
And you're still friends with them today.
Yes.
Still in touch. Right? Amazing people.
Amazing, they were in their 90s and they're still alive. And I'm friends with their children.
Right. So you got Josie, which is the patriarch.
Yeah.
Adelheid was
Yeah.
the matriarch. And then the children, who are older than I am, they're in their 60s, I guess now, is
Manfred
Manfred
and Sylvia.
And Sylvia, yeah. And there's grandchildren too.
Yeah, who have come here to visit.
So you had a lot of fun there, didn't you?
I certainly did.
Tell me
Every
about
day
s-
was fun.
Tell me about like when you went out around Europe with Mom. What kind of car did you have?
I had a 66 Mustang.
It was a
High
six.
performance fastback Mustang.
Was it a six?
Yes, it was a
65
full-
or 66?
66.
66.
I went into the Army in August and I ordered the car. But they had to build it and send it to Germany. So I didn't get it till December. So when I got there, I had no car. I bought a 1957 Opel. We drove around in that for like 4 or 5 months. We went all over Europe in a crappy Opel.
That was the one where the windshield wiper motor was broken and you had a string to pull on it, right?
Right.
So-
There was a mechanism underneath.
right, and you had a string to
You
pull.
couldn't get parts.
In order to make the windshield wipers
Right.
work, you had to pull on the string.
Then eventually I figured out a way to make it work. The right one worked, the left one didn't. So the right one had to push the left one. And when we, for a couple of months before I did that, well, the reason I fixed it was because I got a ticket. I had a whole bunch of strings, the right one to the left one. We'd drive down the road, then Mom would pull the right one and move that way, and then I'd pull the left string in and move to the left. So I got a ticket for obstructed windshield, so then I took a whole car apart and fixed it.
Okay. What kind of places did you go to
Oh, we went to Switzerland and whatever we were in that car.
in the Opel?
Yeah.
When did the Mustang come?
December 1966. I had to take a train. We took a train from Stuttgart in the south of Germany all the way like 500 miles to the north to Bremerhaven, which was port, the U.S. Army port. And it came off a ship, and we had to go to the ship and get the car and drive it back down to Schwäbisch Gmmel. And on that trip, I went to Holland and Denmark.
That was December of 66?
65,
December of 65. What month did you get there in 65?
August.
August. So it was a few months you had the Opel. And then you also
I bought
had,
the Opel for 100 marks, which was $75, and I sold it like 6 months later for $100. So I made $25.
yeah, profit. Wasn't that a lot of money back then though?
$100? No.
Yeah. It was the equivalent of about 1,000.
Yeah, well, I didn't get it for free, but
Yeah. I mean, the first
Actually, it wasn't $75. It was $87.50.
car, car is cheap when there's cents involved in the price. Do you have extra pennies? Do you get even change?
It was 350 marks,
350.
and I sold it for 400 marks, which was $100.
Wow. Wow. But then the Mustang came, man, you had a blast in that car, right? What are some of the places you went to in the Mustang?
Huh?
What are some of the places you went to in the Mustang?
Everywhere.
Start with what first one that comes to mind.
The first place we went to was, I guess, Switzerland. Switzerland was close to where I was. It was easy to go to over the Alps, so it was beautiful. Go right to Zurich, be in Zurich in 3 hours.
You were skiing back then, right? You did a lot of skiing. Leather ski boots.
Oh yeah, that's right. We went skiing in what do you call it? In Bavaria.
How was that Mustang in the snow? It must have been
Terrible.
Terrible.
I got the state of the art at the time. I got studded snow tires
And
on the back,
You're probably still skidding all over the place.
all over the place. I mean, a car couldn't have been worse. It was like a front engine V8, very light, no weight on the rear tires.
Hang on a second.
And it was a clutch, it was a shift. I got stuck in every ski resort in Western Europe.
You also had the Volkswagen, right?
And that's before I came home. I bought a Volkswagen, a used Volkswagen, 6 months old, from
In,
somebody I knew.
in Germany.
Yeah, well, I paid. It was a 1-year-old Mustang. I think I paid $900 for it.
How much did you drive the Mustang? The Volkswagen. It was,
Yeah,
it
about
was
a
a
month.
Beetle. It was
Huh?
like
Yeah.
a
Then
sky
I had to
blue.
drive it up to Bremerhaven again because it wasn't an official car. I had to pay for it myself. So that was the 6-day war. The U.S. got involved in war, so everybody was on full alert in Germany and the army.
I was going to ask you about that story.
So,
I was going to ask you about that story. You were dealing with the Volkswagen at that time?
yeah, and take it to the port.
I
ship
thought
it
you
to
were
the
dealing
US.
with the Mustang. Okay. I'm glad I'm getting these stories right because I tell these stories about you.
Yeah, so I got on I drove the Mustang,
The Mustang or the
the
Volkswagen?
Volkswagen up to Bremerhaven to the port, put it on a ship, and I had to take the train back.
To
And I was
ship it
AWOL
home?
the whole time.
To,
Huh?
to ship it home?
Yeah.
Right? And you were
I had to
AWOL?
pay for it.
You were AWOL?
Yeah.
And for the folks that are watching that didn't... That are not-
Absolutely without official leave.
Right, and it's not the same as desertion. Just not where you're supposed
No.
to be. You're supposed to be up on the post, and you're not. It's
Right,
not
I
like
just left. I went.
leaving the war and going,
Yeah.
moving to just disappearing. AWOL is just it's an infraction. So what happened? They called a full alert. It was a 6 days war.
Yeah.
What was the 6 days war? I'm not asking you. I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you as if I don't know.
The 6 days war
I'm
was,
asking you to explain it for the people watching it.
what do you call it? Israel invaded in self-defense all the Arab countries. They were all arrayed against Israel, so Israel attacked them and took on all the Arab countries. But we were in full alert because we expected to be attacked. But fortunately, it didn't happen. Israel just kicked their ass. It was over in 6 days.
We were worried that the Soviets were going to get involved, right?
Yeah.
And
And the Arabs.
how did you find out about this?
Mhm.
How did you find out about the alert while you were out AWOL?
I'm calling.
I thought you told me you heard about it on the radio.
I don't remember.
The way I heard this story originally, and it was a long time ago, and you're the authority since you were there. But I remember you telling me that you heard about it on the radio,
Well, maybe I did.
on the car radio,
Yeah.
and you're like, holy fuck, and you had to race back there to get. Did you drive the Volkswagen back there, or you
From where?
from where you were? Did you?
In Bremerhaven in northern Germany?
Yeah.
No, I was taking it to the trains. I put it on the train. I got on the train and came home. Back to the Stuttgart. Schwäbisch Gmünd.
Did you get in trouble?
No, nobody knew. I mean, people knew, but nobody cared.
Okay.
I didn't ask anybody. I just did it.
No, I mean, did you get in trouble for being AWOL when the U.S. forces went on full alert?
Nobody knew I was AWOL.
Nobody knew you were AWOL because you're so good at it.
Mhm.
So speaking of getting in trouble, you had all these enlisted men that used to.
What?
Speaking of getting into trouble, you had all these enlisted men that worked for you.
Yeah.
And I remember you telling me one story where they stole a truck and they
Yeah.
crashed it. Why don't you tell that story?
Oh, yeah. All the enlisted men that worked for me were drunks all the time. Always drunk. All day long, every day. So they went out one night and they they took one of the army ambulances. They go out in the ambulance like they weren't supposed to, and they made a right turn, went into somebody's driveway, went through the door, crashed into a car, parked in a garage, the German's driveway, and backed out and left.
And they came to you, right?
Like, what do I do? I said, just go home and forget it. Nothing happened. Hide.
Wasn't there one guy that you finally had enough of? And
Yeah, I
you
couldn't take him anymore.
well, you transferred him, right?
Yeah.
Where'd you transfer him to?
What was it? Bruce Gilbert, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent him back. I couldn't take it. He was constantly drunk, constantly in trouble. One day he went to a party and he stole all the coats from the party. He's in a car, comes and knocks on my door. He says, Doc, I got these coats. You want a coat? I said, no, I don't want a coat. Get out of here.
Was it a German party or a
Yeah,
German
stole all
party?
the coats.
Stole
What
the
should I
coats.
do? I said, get rid of them. So he took all the coats and threw them in the river.
Plus. Oh my
What an
god.
asshole that kid was. He had to die young because he was constantly drunk.
You don't know that he died young.
No. Bruce, I can't take it anymore.
Where did he wind up going?
He sent him to Stuttgart, to the main headquarters.
Oh, and then they shipped him out from somewhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't your responsibility to
No.
figure out where to put him. You just
Nope, just to get rid of him.
got rid of him. Wow. So eventually, you had a 6-pound surprise.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. I don't need to know how it happened, but you didn't expect it. You guys didn't expect for Mom to get pregnant.
No.
Because you were still in Germany on this 2-year safari.
Right.
So,
So she got pregnant, and we just kept going the whole time. We were always in motion.
right. Well, you don't really get super heavy until towards the end of the pregnancy, anyway, right?
We went to Rome, we went everywhere. We were at top of Vesuvius. She's like in her 5th month on top of Vesuvius.
Didn't you take a flying belly flop down a ski slope with me in her belly? I remember that story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she skied also.
Right, while she's pregnant with. But
Yeah.
for the folks that
In
don't
fact, we went with.
know,
We were skiing with the gynecologist. He says, "Don't worry about it. You're well protected." So we had a personal gynecologist to ski with.
the U.S. Army gynecologist.
Yeah.
So for the folks that don't know, the 6-pound surprise is me, your interviewer. Mom, can you do me a favor? Can you get me the piece of marble?
Piece of marble?
The thing that
Oh,
that
yeah.
you stole. Can you get me that? So, we're gonna back up for a little bit. We've come back from the break. You've had some water, and just so the audience knows, I'm not committing elder abuse. I gave you a sufficient union break. Got a
Okay.
drink of water, right? It's a little joke. So, you guys, I would say, probably still a large extent, but certainly back then you're a bit rebellious.
Mm-hmm.
And
I wasn't rebellious for the sake of being rebellious. I just did what I wanted.
which I would still describe you as
Yeah.
today. No fucks given kind of an attitude.
Uh-huh.
Which is one of my favorite things about you. Sometimes it's inconvenient.
Think
But-
I'm what?
Sometimes it's inconvenient. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so a lot of people go to trinket shops and buy souvenirs. You decided to harvest one of your souvenirs from the wild, or Mom did, right?
Well, the stone that you're holding is a piece of a column, of a cornice from Ostia Antica, which was the seaport of Rome.
Hold it up.
So we'd gone to Rome, and we went to the seaport, and we found this on the ground. It was part of a building, and it was all covered with all kinds of crap. And I kept it, and I still have it.
Didn't you
Cleaned
stick it
up.
in Mom's purse?
Yeah.
So that is a piece of a column head from
Yeah, cornice,
the fucking Roman Empire.
right? Like that.
Wow.
It was part of a building
Right.
in Ostia Antica from Rome.
And you shoplifted it
Yes, we
Like-
stole it.
like a candy bar.
Right.
That is one of the more impressive stories that I've ever heard.
This is nice. Let's take it. It was laying on the ground. They were restoring Ostia Antica, building it up. Like I said, Rome's seaport.
Yeah, we're gonna take a break in a little bit.
Huh?
We're gonna take a break in a little bit. Let's finish talking about Germany, and then we'll take a break, and I'll transition into early childhood. Me and Michelle, not your early childhood.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
you don't remember my early childhood? So
I was busy
you were busy. What were you doing?
racing.
Right, that's later. That's the 70s. We're still in the 60s right now.
Oh.
I was born in May 11th, 1967.
Correct. You got that right.
Got that right. So I've heard some stories that in the hospital there was a huge thunderstorm going on, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about the night of my birth.
Tell you about what?
The night of my birth.
I brought Mom to the hospital. What do you call it? Actually, I went in there and watched the whole thing. I have pictures somewhere.
Slides.
Slides.
I remember holding one slide up. I'm like, oh, that's not for me. And put it back down. The slides are probably downstairs somewhere in the basement.
Yep.
But there was a huge thunderstorm going on.
Right. And Mom had a room with a balcony that went out into the courtyard and it overlooked a railroad track. And it was a gigantic thunderstorm. You could see it like from the balcony. It was like very impressive.
Were you paying more attention to the thunderstorm or to Mom giving birth?
But she had already given birth.
Oh, were you
There's
paying
nothing
more,
to do afterwards.
were you paying more attention to the thunderstorm
At the moment,
or your newborn son?
well, I didn't pay any attention to my newborn son until he was about 10.
Till I was able to throw a ball, right?
Right.
Which I was never very good at, but
Yeah.
more on that later. Oh my God, so pretty. So I just went through an hour with Dad.
Okay?
I wore him out. We were just getting to the best part. We were getting to Bridgehampton. But we're gonna start at the beginning.
Do you know that we put Bob Brown's ashes on Bridgehampton?
We're gonna talk about that. I did know about that. I know about that story. So, you're not as good of a historian as Dad
No, I'm
is.
not.
Okay, you don't have the same kind of memory.
Nope.
So, I'm not gonna ask you so much about Europe while I'm doing you alone like this. I'm also gonna have you guys together, and you can remind each other of stuff.
Okay.
But I'm gonna start talking about stuff that I was around for,
Okay.
so I can help you memorize. And for those watching, this isn't an old age thing. You were never a good historian. You used to fuck up stories all the time. You still do, but your heart's in the right place. So we're gonna start early 1970s when we moved in here. We moved here in 1970. I don't know if you remember. It was 1970. Trust me. It was
Okay.
1970. So you were first time. Well, no, it wasn't the first time living in the suburbs for you. You grew up in a suburban. Well, you was in Brooklyn. Technically, it was in New York
Yeah.
City, but you grew up in a nice house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your father was very successful. He was a successful roofer. Died very young. I remember.
50.
No, he was 58.
58.
It was 1973.
Told you I don't remember.
Well, it was my first taste of death. I loved him very much. He was a very sweet man.
He loved you.
Yeah. He was a rough guy though, wasn't he? Like, didn't he used to pal around with gangsters?
No, not that I remember. Well, yeah, he didn't pal around with them, but he knew them.
Yeah, he knew them. Right. For the record, that wasn't a nudge, nudge, wink, wink. My grandfather was not in the mafia, right? But he used to pal around with him. He used to, he knew him. He was a very sweet gentleman. I'm sure tough as nails.
Yeah, he had to be.
Yeah. Died of a heart attack.
On the roof.
On the roof. Well, he was a roofer. He was 2 years older than I am now. But you wound up living here, and you formed a community, right? We used
Yeah.
to go to the pool club, and you met the Corteses and the Garfinkles,
The Fabers.
the Fabers. Tell me about those days. We used to play tennis.
Yeah, yeah. I used to walk around in my bikini,
I remember.
and everybody at the pool club always looked at me. We had a little gang in the corner that used to hang out and chat. We were a popular group. Oh, there was a lot of cheating going on then here.
Like
A lot of
cheating on-
couples switching.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
No kidding.
And I was wondering why they never picked me.
Well, okay, wait, what? I just got an education here. Okay,
Yeah, oh,
so when
yeah.
you say cheating, you don't mean cheating, you mean they were swapping.
Swapping, right.
Cheating is where you don't have permission.
No, they were swapping.
Okay,
And
it was the
a
second.
couple of them left their spouses and married the other one.
Huh.
Yeah, it was a very interesting time. And we would sit at the pool club and look and figure out who was with who. It was fun. We had a lot of
Oh,
fun.
wow. And you guys never swapped or anything like that?
No, absolutely. Nobody wanted us.
Well, I don't think that was the case. They probably, being somewhat familiar with the polyamorous community. When I say somewhat, I'm being sarcastic. They probably sniffed you out as someone that's not
Not what?
polyamorous.
Oh.
Yeah, they probably just knew.
Do you remember polyhammer?
Polyamory.
Oh, polyamor. Because there was a polyhammer.
Polyhammer, no. I was what you described just now was polyamory.
Oh, okay.
Polyamory, multi-loves,
Okay.
right? It's a word that's derived from the Greek root poly, multi, amor,
Okay. Got it.
Latin for love. It's
Got
a
it.
Greek Latin root, polyamory. And they probably could just tell you weren't polyamorous. You weren't a swinger.
No.
They could probably just tell. It wasn't that you weren't hot enough, I'm sure. So anyway, you had this little group that wasn't polyamorous.
Right.
Okay, this blew my mind. I had no idea this was going on. I was today old when I learned this. Okay. Wow. Okay. So who was swapping with whom?
I don't remember their names now, but there were a lot of couples swapping. And as I said, a few of them left their spouses and married the one they were swapping with.
That's extraordinary. I had no idea. And you used to kind of like sit there and try to figure out who's doing who.
Yeah, we used to look around the pool and, are they doing it?
And you're now, this is in the 70s, you're in your 30s.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody was young and hot.
Yeah, a lot of good-looking people, yeah.
Yeah. But you did get into tennis.
Play tennis sometimes all day, continually. Judy and I played a lot. And, we just go on. Whoever won played the next game. Whoever won played the next game. And we could do it all day long up there at the court.
Raising kids in the suburbs. American dream, right?
I guess so.
Yeah, people strive for that. You were living it.
It was good.
Did you appreciate it at the time? Did you think?
Probably not, because I lived in a house my whole life growing up. So it was not a big deal to me to come out of an apartment to live in a big home. But I always did.
Right. Okay. And then,
Although I said to Dad, I remember when we bought the house, we sat in a diner and we were very frightened that we wouldn't be able to do it. We said, well, we'll have to eat tuna fish every night so we can afford to pay the mortgage.
did you eat tuna fish every night?
No, we didn't have to.
Yeah. I don't remember eating a lot of tuna fish, except when we actually wanted tuna fish.
Right.
I remember growing up with quite the abundance of material stuff.
We were okay.
We did just fine. I remember a lot of steaks, a lot of good food growing up. You're always a good cook. It was
I liked it. I don't like it anymore, but I like to cook.
No,
And you like to eat. So.
that much is certain. One of my fondest memories as a child, I don't know if you remember, used to take me and Michelle to the Long Island Game Farm,
Oh, I remember that.
right? What do you remember from that?
I just remember going and you running around with, I think there were like swans or ducks there.
Baby chicks.
Baby chicks.
Little yellow baby chicks.
Yes, that you like to
Used to pick 'em
run
up.
with. Right, and we'd buy food to throw at them. I think they had a little machine that you could buy food in.
You're mixing it up, but you're close. They sold food for the deer.
Oh,
There were
okay.
little deer. Little
Right,
baby deer that used to walk around, and goats.
right,
And you can feed them. You buy the food for, 25 cents for a
right.
handful of food. You buy us the food and we feed the deer. You go in the pen. For those that don't know, the Long Island Game Farm is a petting zoo. Narrating this for the folks watching who might not know what the Long Island Game Farm is. I wonder if it's still there. Do you know if it's still there?
No, I don't know.
Going to be a little caption to let the audience know, because I'll research it later. And I hope it's around, because that was an amazing place. So
It was, I remember you used to love it.
you see, go inside the pens.
Where was it where the elephant, where did the elephant pick you up? You
That was a circus, and I was too young for me to remember that. I have vivid, detailed memories of the Long Island Game Farm. But my memory of the elephant lifting me up is very spotty. I was very young. I must
You
have
fed
been-
it.
Yeah.
You
peanuts.
fed it, and it sucked onto
Sucked
your
me up and
hand,
started to pull
and
me
it
up.
lifted you up, and I started to scream.
Right.
I think it was in the zoo. It was the zoo we went to.
Was it the zoo? I don't think
Yeah.
it was the zoo. I think
Yeah.
it was the circus.
No, I think it was the zoo. I'll ask Dad. He'll remember.
Okay. And what happened? Did it lift me off the ground?
Oh yeah, and we couldn't reach you. Dad and I couldn't reach you. We couldn't get away from the elephant.
You
There
kidding?
you were dangling with the elephant.
Are you sure you're not exaggerating?
That's what I remember.
Wow.
I could be.
It sucked me up. I mean, the elephant won't like me. I don't know. I've always been good with animals. So, speaking of animals, you grew up to be very afraid of animals.
I did.
Originally, yes. You don't remember that?
No.
Oh, you did not like animals. And we had no pets for the first few years of living here. And then one day, Michelle and I came in with a cat that Phil Myerson found. Was it Phil Myers or Myerson? Next door. I think it was Phil Myerson. He found this little kitten. And it was catnip. Remember catnip?
I remember that.
Catnip was so adorable. And you took a look at this cat. You saw us like from a distance with an animal. You're like, get it out of here, get it out of here. And you look at this beautiful kitten. And you're like,
Was he our black and white?
she.
She about black and white?
That was Crazy Cat. That was
Oh,
later.
right.
Catnip was a calico, multicolored. And you took one look at this kitten and you fell in love. And we adopted the cat. The cat was ours. Cat didn't live very long. Cat met with an unfortunate fate.
Did I run it over?
The cat ran right under the wheel as you were driving. It was not your fault. You felt very bad about it. But we immediately got Crazy and Zippy to replace these two cats. And Zippy met with the same fate, only someone else was driving.
Ran out of my hands.
Cats have a strange, weird thing where they run under a wheel. That's what happened to Catnip, and that's what happened to Zippy. And after that, we decided to make Crazy Cat an indoor cat only. And Crazy Cat was like, he lived to be over 15 years old. And you loved Crazy Cat. That was the black and white one. Remember Crazy Cat?
Yeah, sure. In fact, Michelle has a new cat called, what was Dad's mom's name? Bessie. She has a new cat called Bessie that's the exact replica of Crazy. Exactly.
Wow.
I'll show you a picture of it.
Oh, yes. Now, Michelle and I both went to college while Crazy was still around. And you raised Crazy, because Crazy Cat was really, mine and Michelle's. We used to play with Crazy. But you raised the rest of Crazy Cat's life like he was yours. I remember that. And you and Dad were the ones that were there when he finally had to be put down. It was very sad.
Oh, don't remind me.
Yeah. Anyway, he was a wonderful cat. And I was so grateful that you continued to take care of him after he left for college. I was so,
I loved
it was
it.
great. Yeah, he was a terrific cat. No pets after that, though.
Nope. Dad wouldn't do it. I thought about it, but Dad wouldn't have any more.
So, Dad and I were talking about some of the friends that you guys made. And we were just starting to talk about the Bridgehampton days when the cameras shut off and we took a break and he decided to take a nap. So
Okay.
we're at that point. But
Well, you exhausted him.
yeah, interviews take a lot out of you.
Yeah.
And I warned you, it would just be longer than you probably imagined it to be. You guys met some of the closest friends you've ever had through the racing days.
Yeah.
Now those are some of my fondest memories, is going to the racetrack to watch Dad race. But what I want to hear from you is stuff about the friendships that you made with the Katzmans, with the Browns. Some of these people are not with us anymore.
Right.
I remember you guys, the ladies together, a bunch of like salty ladies, giggling, drinking wine and having fun and being bad. I remember that. You guys were,
We would be up in the timing and scoring,
yeah.
drinking so much that I remember saying, we're supposed to be timing and scoring it. And I must have said, was that one of the green cars that just went by? No, I think it was the blue car. Oh yeah, it was the blue car. That's how we timed and scored.
Oh, this is grassroots for those that are just not really familiar with this. This is grassroots racing. This is more grassroots than SCCA. This is the Eastern Motor Racing Association. And it's score yourselves, timing and scoring is we keep track of who's winning and who's losing. So the ladies are up there supposed to be timing and scoring, and it's more like timing and drinking. Right?
And then Rhoda had to stop the whole race once. She called the race to a halt because she had to go down and do something. And she ran across the track. I don't remember what she had to go. She had to go buy something or go to the bath. I don't know, but she called out, stop the race. And the whole race stopped and she ran across the track.
Now, I know the answer to this question, but just for posterity, who's Rhoda?
Rhoda Brown, my best friend in the whole world, who
No longer with us.
no longer with us, and I miss her terribly. She died a horrible death. What was that called?
She eventually died of mad cow disease.
Mad cow disease.
But before we talk about her death, let's talk about her life.
Oh my God, she was
She
so much
and-
fun.
Who was her husband?
Bob Brown.
Bob Brown, right? Tell us about the Browns.
Well, the Browns were great people. I love them. They had two beautiful girls.
The girls are still with us.
Yep.
Gillian
Gillian and
and
Danielle. And they still keep in touch with me, and we text each other, and it's so nice to hear from them, and it helps me to just remember great things about my great friends. We did so much traveling together, so much. Rhodey and I went, in fact, that may have been her downfall, because we were in Europe, London, and we were eating in the dining room in the restaurant, and she had a meat dinner I didn't eat the meat because there was a story about meat and that I
There was a
get
mad cow disease scare.
scared.
You-
And she ate it anyway. And
Years later.
years later,
That's how mad cow disease works.
she may have developed from that meat. I don't know.
It's
Mad cow disease.
most likely that's how it happened.
So I don't know. It was.
But
Very sad.
her death was tragic. I remember it very
Oh,
well.
what she went through. I talked to her on the phone when she was in the hospital, and she was mad. I mean, she was really mad. She was making up stories.
Her death was horrible, but I really want to talk about her life. I remember you guys having belly laughs, not chuckles, not tee hee hee. I remember you guys laughing so hard that snot was blowing out your nose.
Yeah, they were great fun. We had a lot of fun. Dad and Bob, of course, were fighting all the time, as good friends do.
But fun fighting.
It was laughing fighting.
Right, it was fun
Yeah,
fighting.
it was laughing
Two
fighting.
New York smartasses.
And
They were called Heckle and Jekyll.
right. And Rhoda and I would just laugh at them. And
In fact, they had T-shirts. One said Heckle, the other said Jekyll.
oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah,
The Talking Magpies.
yeah. And they used to love to do things together: ski and bike and hike and ride motorcycles. And oh, they did a lot together. Even though they moved to the other side of the country, California, we still did things together. We traveled out there a lot.
They moved out early.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah,
forced
Bob
to move
got
out
a
there.
job out there.
Yeah, well, his company moved him out there.
Right.
And he went kicking and screaming. And
Yeah.
he never stopped kicking and screaming.
No, he was
Oh.
not happy.
No. He was
But they did like California, and of course the girls loved California.
he was a New York guy to his core, though.
Yeah. They didn't make many friends out there that I remember.
I was out there. I used to go over and spend
Yeah.
some time with him now and then. And whenever I needed help with anything, he was Johnny on the motherfucking spot. He was really just right on top of everything.
He's a good guy. Good guy.
Biggest smartass you've ever seen. The most he had a PhD in sarcasm.
Yes.
But he would give you the shirt off of his back.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He was
Do anything to you. Anything.
He was the nicest asshole I've ever met. You know what I mean?
Do you remember when he came here and you were riding the motorcycle around the house and he was
Yeah.
guiding you to ride that
Yeah.
motorcycle?
He was not like an uncle. He was an uncle to me.
Yeah, it was great.
When I say the nicest asshole I ever met, meaning like he was such a smartass. His sarcasm it cut to the bone. But where it counted, he was so kind, so selfless, so gentle.
He's a good guy.
You guys traveled a lot around the country. You took a lot of motorcycle trips.
A lot of motorcycle
right?
trips
Where
with them.
you and Rhoda went on the back.
Right.
And Dad and Bob. And there were other people too. There was, who else went with you guys? It was Paul Davis.
Yeah.
Paul Davis.
Oh, you know who I spoke to the other day? I called. Oh my God. I can't think of his name. He was older than us. Judy DePedro.
Really? How are they doing?
Yeah. They moved to a senior place and he's in his 90s.
Wow. He's
Yeah.
always a sweetheart of a guy.
Yeah, very nice.
You weren't as close with the DePedros as
No.
you were with the Browns. And the Katzmans.
Oh, well, I'm so friendly with Tammy.
Tammy's
I
one
have-
of the few people, and then there were.
I see Tammy at
Last-
least once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that often?
Oh, yeah. We go out to dinner at least once a week with her.
Let's back up though. Let's talk about the motorcycle trips. You guys went all around the American West, right?
Yep.
Grand Canyon, Monument Valley, all in the back of a motorcycle, camping out. Pretty exciting, right? Anything that sticks in your mind from those days?
Not that I can remember. I don't know. I just, I did it. It wasn't, I have to tell you, it wasn't one of my favorite things.
Really?
Well, maybe looking back, because now it isn't. Motorcycling, I don't want to do it anymore. So maybe I'm projecting that back.
I don't ride motorcycles
So I don't know. I guess I must have enjoyed it because I did it a lot.
anymore. You did a lot of those trips.
And I remember when we stopped in restaurants, everybody would just look at us like we were the motorcycle crazies.
Right. They probably said, I bet those guys are swapping wives back in the suburbs.
But it was good. I remember we'd stop and we'd eat in some disgusting grocery store while we were riding. Yeah, it wasn't very fancy trips that we took on the motorcycles.
Yeah, not the highest of luxury.
No.
But you guys took some luxury trips. You went to Club Med. You went to Martinique.
Yeah, we did.
You used to go to Vail and Aspen to go skiing.
Yes. we
Before
did.
you ever took us, you guys went first.
And then that's where I met another friend of ours who did a lot of traveling with, Elliot and Irene Kaplan. When we moved in here, it was a fancy neighborhood, so to speak, but I drove a truck,
A van.
a van,
I know this story. Go on.
and Irene Kaplan drove a van. And we were so unique here because all the other women were driving fancy cars, Jaguars and everything. And the two of us when we passed each other in the street, we would just laugh, look at each other and laugh. We never said a word, we would laugh. And then I'm standing in Aspen and I turn around and I see the woman who laughed with me in the van, standing on line in Aspen. And I go over to her and I go, "You're the van lady."
Oh my God.
And she said, "What van lady?" "We both drive vans in Melville." She goes, "Oh my God." And we went out to dinner that night and we've been friends ever since.
Wow, and I remember that story. I haven't heard it in a long time. That is a great story.
Yeah.
I want to talk about other good friends too, though. You got
Like who?
Youngs.
Oh God, yes. I'm still friends with them. They live on a boat in the Bahamas and
I believe Richie used to race cars.
yes, he raced with Daddy. He raced.
Right, that's how you met.
How I met Lori was Richie was our good friend, and we rented a house in Vermont, a ski house, and he came out to ski with us, and he seemed kind of lonely because his girlfriend at the time broke up with him, and he was kind of miserable. So his father had married Lori's mother. Both of their spouses, they both were divorced. No, Lori's mother was divorced, and Richie's mother died. So they had met each other. Richie's father and Lori's mother met each other, and they got married. So Richie and Lori were actually sister and brother. And so I said, through marriage,
Right.
not genetically.
Right.
And I said to Richie, "Why don't Lori is here in Vermont. Why don't you invite her over and we can, you'll have somebody to talk to." So he invited her, and that was it. They
Wow.
wound up getting married.
That is a great story. That is a perfect time to cut. The cameras are at their 30-minute marks.
Okay.
And we're going to take a break. All right, before we broke for lunch, we were talking about Europe. And now we're going to transition to Brooklyn.
Wait a minute, I'm not done with Europe.
Do go on.
Okay, so the best trip we took in Europe was in 1966 when Mom and I met my friend Tony in Switzerland. He came up from Italy where he was stationed, and I went down to Monte Carlo with my friend from Germany who was an American doctor. And we all went to the Monte Carlo Grand Prix, 1966. So we drove down through Switzerland to Monte Carlo. And we stayed there for like 5 days. And we had a great time there. Tony, Rosemary Terra, Dr. Ted Walters, and his wife Donna. And then Ted and Donna went back to Germany, and Tony and I continued on through the south of France, across France into Spain. We went to Madrid and Toledo and Aragon, all these places in Spain, and in my '66 Mustang. Absolutely the best car trip I ever took.
That sounds like a blast.
And we came back, we went to Riviera, and we came across up through the bottom of Switzerland and back to Germany. We went 3 weeks, best car trip I ever took,
Wow.
in my brand new Mustang,
That
which
sounds
was like the
amazing.
sensation of Europe at the time.
So, you picked up one little souvenir. You actually paid for that one. A little poster, right?
What?
A little poster from the '66 Monte Carlo Grand
Yeah.
Prix, right? What'd you do with that when you came back to the United States? You thumbtacked it to the garage, right?
Yeah. Been there for a lot of years.
And then one day, you and I are out there looking at it.
But this is worth.
And we both looked at the poster. We looked at each other. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And we're like, holy shit. It's been there for like 30
It's a
years.
valuable poster.
Right. So you had it professionally
Mounted.
yeah, which,
It's still on my wall now, 60 years later.
right. I'll show a picture of that later.
55 years.
I'll show a picture of that later when I edit this. Oh, wow, yeah. So you came back, in the first 3 years of my life, we lived in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
In this little apartment on
Avenue I in East 51st Street.
I was on Flatlands, right?
It was one block off of Flatlands,
Okay.
in East 51st Street.
And that's where you met Kim Pepitone, right?
Yeah.
Kim Pepitone used to babysit for me.
Yes, she was 16.
16, and she had this crazy boyfriend, right?
Yes.
And what did they used to do?
Jimmy. Used to break into cars and steal radios.
Right. Not Kim, but her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Right. Real winner, that guy.
Huh?
Real winner, that guy.
Yeah.
And you opened up your dental practice then.
Yeah.
1967. 7600 Shorefront Parkway.
Yeah.
Rockaway Beach.
43 years.
It was more than 43 years. It was 1967 to 2012.
19. Yeah.
We'll do the math later, but
Yeah.
I recall that being more than 43 years.
12 and 13 and 23. No.
It's 45 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 45 years.
Yeah.
That's, it was right across the street from the boardwalk. Used to go
And
boogie
the
board
boardwalk
at
and
lunch.
looks better now than it ever did
Right.
after the
So-
hurricane.
This was in a brand new apartment building in a brand new apartment complex,
Mm-hmm.
high-rise apartment buildings. You got ground floor medical suite. All these people moving in needed a dentist.
They didn't know it though.
It's like a perfect opportunity.
To start a practice.
Yeah. You booked up your whole career for like
Yeah.
2-3 weeks, 4 weeks. But you still only worked 3.5 days a week.
Right.
You worked Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Yes.
and half a day on Saturday
Right.
for people that couldn't go to the dentist.
And then it would take one weekend a year, one weekend a month off. Go somewhere, 5 days. I would switch my Thursday to a Monday the week before. I would work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday the following week we can go somewhere, go skiing.
Right. Were you doing that as early as the first 3 years when we lived in Brooklyn?
I don't remember.
Do you remember much from the Brooklyn days?
Yeah, I didn't like it. I mean, it's like I didn't like living there. And, I was very happy to move out. First of all, it was late '60s and early '70s. It was stealing a lot of cars and stuff, and I had this brand new Firebird that I couldn't leave on the street overnight because I knew it would be gone in the morning. So every day when I came home from work, I had to go drive it over to my father-in-law's house and put it in his driveway and put a car behind it so it didn't get stolen. So I get up in the morning, the next morning after a walk over, it's about 10 blocks to his house, pick up my car and go to work.
Holy shit.
So it was really annoying. So I couldn't wait to move out of Brooklyn so he wouldn't steal my car.
Now you're fast forwarding a little bit because when you came back, you had the Mustang for a couple more years.
Yeah.
'Cause the Mustang was a 66.
Yes, and I got rid of it in, I guess, June or July of 1970. When they
Right.
brought out the Firebird. There had been Firebirds before, but they brought out a new model.
Right. This was the second generation. First year of the second generation Firebird.
It was a sensation.
And that was a 1970 Firebird Formula 400
Mm-hmm.
with a Pontiac 400 cubic inch small block,
Yeah.
which oddly enough did not overheat.
Had a big radiator.
Must have
Had
heated.
good air vents.
Yeah. You put that much displacement into a small block, there's not a lot of metal. But that car was sensational, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That
I
car.
used that car for years as a race car. Hill climbs
Hill
and time trials. I ran it on Iceland racetrack.
And you did a lot of gymkhanas, right?
Hmm?
You did a lot of gymkhanas, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they use the word gymkhana anymore. I think they're all called autocrosses
Yeah.
now. And but I didn't realize that you got the Firebird before we bought this house, when you were still in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Interesting. Sounds like a real pain in the ass
It was.
going through. So
So if I got the Firebird in 1970, about maybe June, and then we moved here in December. So for about 6 months, I had to park it in the driveway behind my father-in-law's house every day. What a
Right.
pain.
right, you were just saying. But at some point, you decided you're going to get out of Brooklyn,
Mm-hmm.
and where were you considering living?
Well, I had my office, so I had to be on Long Island. Wasn't, although I did like Westchester better than Long Island, that wasn't where my office was.
Right, you would have been closer to skiing.
Right.
But they were supposed to build this bridge from
Right. We built a bridge from Rye to Oyster Bay
right,
at the top of the Seafood Oyster Bay Expressway.
which would have shaved 2 hours off the trip to Vermont to go
Right.
skiing. And they pulled the rug out from under you, didn't they?
The what?
They pulled the rug out from under you, didn't they? They
Yes.
stopped it.
Yeah.
Right.
That was when the first thing that I got mad at environmentalists. They used a whole bunch of environmental bullshit, like to stop the bridge, which they still need to this day. The bridge would have been like the antidote to Long Island's traffic problems,
Yeah. It was a very
which
bad
has been there
decision.
for 60 years.
Right.
It will be there forever. Of course, they're never going to build a bridge.
Right.
You can't. The bridge was the last thing they were supposed to build. Never got it built, and never will they build. They haven't built anything since. I think the only thing they opened up since was the Verrazano Bridge.
That's quite a structure.
Hmm?
That's quite a structure.
Yeah.
So you looked at a few houses. I think you looked at one house, right? This was the only house you looked at.
No, I looked at houses down in the South Shore where my cousin Michael lives in Seaford and Massapequa.
What did you like about this house?
I could came with an acre property,
Right.
and it was fully finished. All you had to do was move in. You have to do anything to it. Came in a lawn. You had to have furniture, and that was it.
Right.
It was turnkey.
Right.
And it had this great community out here. And I thought there was going to be no traffic because it was so far out, but that didn't last very long.
Yeah.
I may have been first, but I wasn't last. Yeah.
I've never heard that expression before.
Yeah.
Is that a figure of speech?
Yeah, first and last? No.
That was well put.
Yeah.
I might have been first, but it certainly wasn't last. I like that. So that was 1970.
Yeah.
I remember when we moved in.
It was December 24th, 1970. We moved in here to this perfect brand new house.
Yeah.
And it was, like I said, December. And we were here a couple of hours and the heat broke.
Right, there were some glitches. There were
So
some
we had
growing
no
pains.
heat the first night.
I remember there
They
was.
came and they fixed it the next day, but we tried to, I didn't know anything about it, how to build a fire. So I tried to build a fire and I put newspaper in there and it lasted about half an hour maybe. I had 1 million newspapers. And then we just froze that
You
night.
had no logs.
Huh? No logs.
You just
Newspaper.
lit a paper fire.
Yeah.
Oh my God! So yeah, you've developed your fire making skills significantly.
Yeah, underground,
since then.
OJT.
But back then, you know, growing up in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
fireplaces probably wasn't a thing. Wow, interesting. I don't remember having a hoe by the fire. I remember the first day here, there was no carpeting in this room. They hadn't put it in yet. There was some kind of like weird, like subfloor there. And,
And it's still here under this floor.
right. And there was no lawn.
Know what?
There was no lawn yet.
I hadn't grown in, but they seeded it. They made a lawn for us.
Right. And I remember walking around the property with Michelle. And Michelle was
She was only one.
She was one. She had just started to talk. She only knew one word at the time. Do you remember what word that was? Leaf. You remember that?
Yeah.
And she was running around with a leaf, saying leaf, leaf. And I remember we each had these sticks and we were drilling holes into the yard by twisting these big sticks. And that's all I remember from that day.
63. 53. 53 years.
What were you saying?
We moved in here in 1970, so
Yeah, we've been in this house for
December 1970.
53 years. 53 years. And what was life like in the early days, like 1970?
Same.
We had a bunch of cars, I remember. We had,
Yeah.
you had a couple of hand-me-downs from your parents.
Yeah. Had a Mercury, Parkland,
It's a convertible.
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 Right, right.
Right,
And
big fucking
I got
car.
a 69 Chevy Impala.
Impala, that was not a convertible.
Right.
You had both, no, you had one after the other, right?
Yeah.
Right, first you had the Mercury,
Right.
then you got rid of the Mercury.
But I had the Firebird.
Had the Firebird the whole time.
I had the Firebird for 12 years.
What? Yeah, I remember the day it left. We'll get into that. That's my personal childhood trauma. It's when you sold the Firebird.
Yeah, it was a wreck.
I will never forgive you
It
for
was a
that.
wreck, and I got like $200 for it.
You got $500.
500.
Yeah. And you spent it on a stereo.
Fortunately, exit out of here was downhill.
You spent the $500 that you made from that sale on a new stereo for your 82 Z28. That piece of shit car.
Well,
Of course, it was a hunk of shit.
82 was a bad year for cars.
It was such a hunk of shit that you replaced it with another Camaro 2 years later.
An 84, which was a much better car,
better car.
but not a great car.
I loved that car, that 84. I loved the 82 one too.
They were beautiful cars.
The 82 though only came with an automatic transmission.
Right.
So you had that car. What Firebird was a manual 4-speed, and the 82, and it was not just an automatic. It was a very
Crappy
bad
automatic.
automatic.
Yeah.
It was the Metric 200, and it would just like make this clacking noise when you hit it. It was really bad. And then
Well, sure, good looking though.
yeah, and then the 84 was a much better car. Had had a Borg Warner T5, manual, 5-speed manual, and but you ordered the car. You didn't buy it off the lot, and you ordered the exact same color. But they changed the color on it.
Right.
Like, what the fucking color is this? It's like this muted.
Same name.
Right. Same name. Metallic blue.
Right.
And it was like
Dark metallic.
dark metallic blue. And
Yeah.
come back.
It wasn't dark.
Weird color. Yeah. Yeah. It was like.
It's like fat.
It's like somebody took a picture of your 82.
They made it beige.
Right. It's like somebody took a picture of your 82 and hung it on the wall in the
And
sun.
stated.
Right. For 20 years. Right. Anyway, backing up. So we're still in the early 70s. So that's when we started meeting all the neighbors. We met the Corteses, the Garfinkels. You had a little community here. You used to play tennis. What were those days like?
Nothing unusual.
Nothing really remarkable.
No.
You're having fun living in the suburbs.
killing time.
But we used to spend a lot of time with your parents,
Well, they would come here all the time.
and we'd go to them.
Yeah.
And the traffic was always horrendous, both
Right, it
directions.
still is.
Right. So what was that like?
What, traffic?
Getting your parents out here.
Nothing. They would come. My father liked to drive.
Father liked to drive. Did they like the house?
Oh, I loved it.
We had a lot. We had a lot of. They used to come out here for Thanksgiving, and or Passover,
You know what?
and or Passover.
Yeah.
Those were the two big holidays
Mhm.
in the Sandler family. We didn't observe Passover. We didn't do a seder. We just ate.
They would come out here all the time, so Passover was nothing special really because they were here all the time.
Were they here all the time? I don't remember them coming here all the time.
Well, there was somewhere for them to go. My father always had ants in his pants, or they said they call it spilkus, which is Yiddish for ants in your pants.
Father was quite a character.
My father was quite a character. My father was a maniac. Father used to get into fistfights all the time with people.
Well, that was his background. He was a prize fighter.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus, he came from Brownsville, when gangsterism was a big deal. So you had to be tough, and he was super sensitive, so people would say stuff and he'd get into fights, literal fist fights.
I remember hearing about
Everybody
this.
knew, Pookie's crazy. Don't start up with it, he's crazy.
I remember hearing about this all the time,
Yeah.
but never seeing it. Because he never raised a finger to me, and he never even uttered an unkind word to me. In your parents' eyes, and I was a bad kid, let's face it. I was a disciplinary nightmare, pain in the ass kid. But in their eyes, I could do no wrong. I could have been the Unabomber. They would have been like, he just needed a hobby.
Did the Unabomber just die this week?
Yes, in prison. The real
Good
one.
riddance.
Yeah.
Ted Kaczynski.
Ted Kaczynski, right? Yeah. So we used to go out to their place too. The first part of when I remember growing up, they lived in a high rise.
An apartment house.
Right. Big apartment house, and they had Brownie. They got Brownie when you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
When you still lived with them.
Yeah.
Brownie, we thought
No,
was.
I was married when they got Brownie.
What's that?
I was married already when they got Brownie, but it was like 1963.
When did you get married?
Got married in 63.
63. Did you go straight from living with your parents
Yes.
to getting married?
Mm-hmm.
And then you probably had a apartment that I wouldn't have remembered because I never was in it.
Yeah, with an apartment in Avenue Y in East 12th Street, in an apartment house.
Let's back,
Sheepshead Bay.
let's back up for a second. You know what? No, I'll talk about that when I talk to you guys together. Never mind.
Yeah, so we lived in Avenue Y in East 12th Street in a one bedroom. It wasn't even a one bedroom. We had a couch that opened up with something. A Castro kind of couch.
But we're fast forwarding back now. We're in the mid 70s.
Yeah, so we were here.
Yeah. So yeah, we were here, growing up, and we used to go to your parents' house. You were telling me about your father. Your crazy father.
He was crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody knew Pookie's crazy.
Now his real name was Sam.
Yeah.
His nickname was Pookie.
Nobody called him Sam.
And then your friends growing up used to call him the Pook from Laramook.
Right.
Where did he get the name Pookie?
They called him that when he was a kid, and they always called him that.
And he had a real raspy voice his whole life. Right?
Right, because he smoked. He smoked 3 packs of Camels a day. He was always hoarse.
Yeah, but I thought that he got injured. His throat got injured as a kid, and he had that. Didn't he have that voice growing up?
I don't know, I wasn't there.
No, when you were growing up, didn't he have that voice?
Yeah, always had that voice.
Yeah, I don't think that was from cigarettes.
It certainly didn't help.
Certainly, cigarettes really don't help anything, except for
The companies.
companies that sell them. Yeah. I remember hearing a story where he had a lollipop in his mouth, and he fell off the back of a pickup truck, and the lollipop jammed his throat and injured
I
his
don't know
throat.
how true that is.
I think
When
he-
you see him, ask him.
think I'll be seeing him. He's on the other side. I'm a stone cold atheist. That's pretty much it.
Right.
And so this room that we're in right now, we call this room the den. Some people call it family room. We've always called it the den.
Okay.
And this room has been a living photo gallery.
Living what?
Photo gallery.
Yeah.
This room has always been like, there's end to end, edge to edge photos.
Well, this is an interesting room because it's like you said, it's a photo gallery, but it's enjoyable. Every time you come in here, you look at the pictures and you think of all of the times you had because there's pictures of them.
Right.
So this is like a feel-good room in a sense because you're surrounded by feel-good pictures.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
No, these aren't, art gallery photos. These are,
Oh, to us though.
right. There are,
All these pictures have like some kind of unique quality to them.
yeah.
They have a story in every picture.
And I
They
can,
capture the personality of the person who's in the picture.
I can edit these in later, so that the audience can see them. But I see, picture you and me riding dirt bikes
Mm-hmm.
at Exit 52. Another one where we went on a 5-day motorcycle trip. There's our whole family skiing. There's a picture of you and your father. You look to be about 4 years old. It's one of those posed pictures with a background.
Yeah, I was 4.
There you
That
go.
was VJ Day, 1945.
That was VJ Day. No shit. Wow. That must have been that must have been a good time to be alive. The war is over.
Unless you were German.
Unless you're a German or a Japanese.
Yeah, ciao.
It must have been a good time to be alive in the United States knowing that the war was over.
And you won.
And you won.
And you didn't die.
And you didn't
And
die.
it never came to this country.
So fast forwarding back to this room, there's just tons of photos on the wall
Of us having fun.
of our whole family having fun. There's me hugging, is that Brody? Yeah, it's me hugging Brody. And there's pictures of, there's a picture of me in two of the cars that I had. One was the 84 Civic S. The other one was the Dodge 600 ES turbo convertible, which you and I,
With its new roof.
with its new roof, right? You and I had quite an adventure when I left for law school. We drove across the country in that car, which you gave me so I could have in law school, so I could have a convertible in California. And some things happened, right? We stopped off in a little town called Effingham. And what
Which
happened?
we used to get to call FAU.
Effingham. Because what happened?
We got F.
We got F. What specifically happened?
We went to sleep, we came out in the morning, and our convertible top was cut to ribbons.
All the
And
steel
everything
budget.
in its stuff, all the stuff that was in the car was stolen.
They left the most valuable stuff. They left all the tools. They took my tapes. We both had tapes. They took cassette tapes.
Well, we're geniuses.
No. And what did we do? We had,
Huh?
what did we do?
We bought some tape and made a roof out of tape.
Hopefully I could find a digital scan of that photo that's on the wall there, showing how we reconstructed the roof with duct tape and bungee cords.
Right.
And then we had another like
2,000
2,000 miles to go.
We had built the tapes, we built the roof so well out of tape that we could drive across the country at 80 miles an hour, no problem.
Right, and we'll get to Needles, but before we got to Needles, do you recall what happened after Effingham, before Needles, with our reconstructed duct tape roof?
No,
Torrential rainstorms.
never leaked.
Never leaked. We could have been like, we could have made the history books with
We
that
could have been
roof.
sitting there and water up to our
Right.
asses. Right.
Right. That was something else. And then we got to so now we had so much trouble. We decided to just drive straight through. No more sleeping, right? And we wound up going through the Mojave Desert right around high noon. and we're in the car.
It's 116
We're
degrees.
not there yet. Right?
Okay.
We're in the, we have no idea. There was no external thermometer in those days. This was 1990. You had a radio that played music. And if you want to know,
Oh,
if you wanted to know how hot it was outside, roll down the window. Right? We had no idea when the air conditioner blasting,
which were great.
which worked great, and we pulled over to get gas in
Needles,
Needles,
The
California.
famous Needles, California.
Right, and I get out of the
In
car.
the center of the Mojave Desert.
Right, I get out of the car, and I'm thinking, I feel like I'm standing next to
A fire.
like a fire or
Yeah.
some kind of overheating machine or something. Like there's this heat source radiating that I need to get away from. Turns out it was the weather. And I looked at the thermometer under a slab of concrete. It was 116 degrees. I'm like, holy fuck! Good thing we have air conditioning, right? And what happened when we got in the car to leave?
Yeah, we drove about a mile and a half, and the car just like vapor locked, overheated.
We were talking about your amazing friends. So we have gone through the Katzmans, the Browns, Fabers, the Youngs,
Youngs.
and you also spent a lot of time with B. Garfinkel, didn't you?
Yeah, but I don't know what happened with her. I'm not sure we got along that well.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazes me.
Yeah. After Richie died, I used to meet her for lunch a lot, and we argued a lot. We thought differently.
Over what?
I don't know, maybe politics. I just don't know. I don't remember. But it wasn't a nice relationship. It wasn't great. I mean, she was a friend, but not a good friend.
Well, that's too bad. Okay,
Right.
I didn't know that.
She's not alive anymore. So.
Right. Very few people are.
Right. Most of my friends are either dead or in Florida.
Right. Which is the same.
What?
Which is kind of the same.
Yeah.
But who are your friends now? Who do you hang around with now?
I would say that I have acquaintances now. I met people at the pool, Toby and Stu, Abel. We go out to dinner occasionally. We sit at the pool and talk a lot, or they come here and they eat out in the atrium. We talk for a while. I see Judy and Richie Faber for dinner. There's a few couples, but they're not really friends like we used to have. They're acquaintances.
Right.
And there's a difference.
You want to talk about Jackie and Alan? They go way back, right?
They go way back, but they live in Connecticut, and I speak to them, and I speak to my friend, Linda Brendel, who we were a threesome, Jackie, Linda, and me, and I mean, Linda lives now with near her daughter in Massachusetts, so we talk on the phone. But it's just not the same as when we used to hang out. I met them in elementary school. That's how long ago I've been friends with them. And I speak to them often, but I don't see them. The only one I see a lot is my husband.
Right.
My best friend.
So speaking of school, if I could think of one thing that defines you as a professional, it would be Bala.
Right. That makes me smile. I love Bala.
What does Bala stand for?
Business and Liberal Arts.
Right.
I designed the program. I was asked.
Back up. Let's back up. All right. Back in the day, you were a grade school teacher, right?
Originally, I was an elementary school teacher. Yes, I
Fourth
taught
grade.
5th grade, but they were all smart. It was the smart class I had.
Right.
In fact, that's how I met Daddy. I was teaching in that class, and while he was in dental school, his aunt got him a job substituting one day in the room across the hall from me, and in walked this really nice looking guy, And I kept going in to help him, and 8 weeks later we were engaged.
Wow. I was going to ask you about that when I talk to you guys together at the
Okay.
same time, which is coming up.
But after elementary school, we
You-
went to
you-
live in Europe,
Right.
and so I stopped teaching. And when I came back, I had you, so I didn't continue to work. And when I went back to work when you were grown, I didn't want to do elementary anymore, so I applied to teach in college, and I got a job.
You started off at community college,
I started off in a community college, Dowling,
right? I remember that.
and Suffolk Community College.
Right, I remember that.
And then, my friend at Suffolk Community College, Marilyn, who I had gone into business with, remember?
Right, you were personal communications
Right.
consultant.
And she said to me, why don't you go back to school and get a couple of more courses, because you were trained to teach in elementary school. So if you get a couple of more courses, you'll be able to move up in your career in college, teaching in college. So I went back to Queens College to ask if I could take some classes, and the head of the department said, no, I want you to teach some classes. And I just started to teach, and it was great.
That was at Queens.
Yeah.
And you weren't content to just teach. The class you taught was communications, right?
I taught communications, yes. And then a couple of people spoke to me and said, we want to start something that combines business and liberal arts. So I joined in on the designing meetings, and we designed a program that would help students who wanted to major in anything in liberal arts be prepared for business with that major. So you didn't have to just major in business. You could major you could major in art, history, philosophy, and use that in a business environment with my program, which was called the Honors Business and Liberal Arts Program, BALA. And it was extremely successful. People were really begging to get in because it was good. They didn't want to take all those business courses that they wouldn't need. We taught really courses they could use about critical thinking, communicating actually in business environments, writing for business, those kinds of things. And they loved it. It was one of the most successful programs in the college.